We're showing you this video because you've just done some diagnostic testing, because you happen to have an eye turn where you tend to turn your eyes outward, and some of you tend to turn the eyes inward. Honestly, it really doesn't matter if you turn out or you turn in, the treatment is very similar. So when we did this, the first thing that we did is we looked at your vision examination, and we found out during the vision examination you were tending to turn your eyes outward or inward. Therefore, we've scheduled you. The first thing that you did, usually, we come some of the time change the arrangement, but usually the first thing you did is you look into an instrument where you were seeing the picture of the dog and the pig. Well, the way this thing is designed, the very top part of the chart is when you're looking far away, and the bottom part of the chart is when you're looking up close. And as you record this, if you take a look at the chart, you want everything to be kind of going down the middle, and I kid as if shopping at Rayleigh's. Okay? And usually most of you do pretty good at far, but some of you have trouble in the far vision. Okay, like the depth perception test, which is in there, is a very easy one. And if you've even missed one of them, we know that you have difficulty when you're looking far away as well. But when we look down below, that's where we see it when you're doing close work. On the first one, you may notice that rather than down the center, it's off to the side. And remember we were talking about we want it to be like down the center aisle of Rayleigh's. Well, if you're off to the side over here, you're eating Snickers bars. You're not eating oatmeal anymore. Okay. And then if you look a little bit further, some of the time what many of you do, when it starts to make sense and you can line things up, you will line them up. Okay. Then below that, when you're asking to give more detail, whether it's lines, dots, or gray, then you may notice many of you shut off one eye to get the other eye to work. So when we're looking in there, we found out, hey, we are having trouble looking at far and looking at near as well. Then the next test that we did is your eye movements on paper. It's called the scan test, where you were connecting the dots. Well, if you're 8 years of age, you should have connected every single one of those dots. And that would show you that, by gosh, hey, my eye movements aren't really where they belong. And could you imagine what that would mean in reading and in doing schoolwork or playing sports? Right? Now, while we did that, we also took a photograph of you taking that test at the desk. And what most of you do and have this, you tip your head. The reason that you're tipping your head is you're using your nose to block one eye. It's a very smart thing to do, but imagine the pressure that it's having on your neck and in your shoulders, all right? And so, can you imagine going through all day like that when you're in the classroom and in school and on the job, and what it does to the body? Also, it will watch your spine, and you may notice some of them are tipping like this. Also, we were looking at your shoulders. A rounded shoulder is an eye turn outward. And also, some of you who have your eyes turn out, you might see your elbows going out like that. Some of you may see that it's close to your body. Then we look down, we can look at your feet. A lot of you might let your feet turn outward, just like your eyes turn outward. Some of you may overcompensate and actually cross your legs. Right? But what we're trying to show you is two things here. Number one, working too hard. And number two, not only does this condition affect your eyes, it affects the entire body. Then after that, we did something called a VO star tracing. That's when you're looking in the instrument and you had two pencils and you were bringing them together. If you take a look at my tracing that was done with me, now remember, mine was a lot worse than this because I used to have this condition. All right, but you can see how they come together to a point. And if you notice, yours are not coming together as a point. Matter of fact, some of you may actually, if you can see it, and you kind of fold the two together, you'll see that you're actually, one eye is taking over for the other. Some of you, it will meet inside the folds where you're overcompensating and literally turning your eye in. So I hope that by looking at what we have just done here and all of the testing, oh, by the way, those of you who have an eye turn outward, you are in good company. I don't know if you know of an athlete, a baseball player named Rickey Henderson. Well, Rickey Henderson had a 25-degree I turned. Do you think we're going to tell Ricky Henderson that he can't play baseball? Well, of course we're not. Same thing with you. We're showing you this, okay? And we're showing you what's going on with your visual system, but that does not mean you cannot perform. Like if you see my tracing and it shows where it comes together to a nice fine point, that means I can do detail. But you and I could be sitting down doing the same job with the same detail, you'd just be working 2 to 3 times or more harder than me to do the job. We would never ever tell you you can't do something. We would only tell you you're working too hard. Well, what happens with Ricky Henderson? Well, Ricky Henderson, because of what is going on with his visual system, he has a bad temper. And it got him in a lot of trouble. People who know him know that he does have a bad temper, and he's been fined many times, right? I'm not saying that you have a bad temper at all, okay? Because we are people and we can compensate in many ways. We could hold the steering wheel tightly, we could grip the pencil tightly, we could clench our teeth, we could have an upset stomach, we could have headaches. There's many other ways you could compensate for that. So I hope that you got, between the assistant explaining a few things to you and this video, that you have a pretty darn good idea that, hey, I'm having trouble using my eyes together. I want to assure you this can be treated, and it can be treated easily, and it can be treated well. And so what we want to do now is set up a consult so that we can show you the results of the testing and discuss treatment.